Flogging Molly is the name of the state, and it's a shamrock, and it's freaking luck. Or Dropkick Murphys. Dropkick Murphys. I remember in Mad Max Fury Road, like the chase scene stops, and my shoulders went. I didn't realize that it was the audio or the images as well, but the audio like had me, and you can do that, which is, I mean, the vocation we're trying to do. So, anyway.
Well, no, that's the goal, right?
Yeah.
To get a mental, physical reaction, and some might even say spiritual reaction from people. You know, something guttural and raw and
visceral.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, man. I mean, and that's a lot of my study right now has been independent study in immersive theater. Got my master's at SMU, studying classical theater, and I got my undergrad at UC Irvine, focusing musical theater. But you know, it's storytelling. At the end, it's always storytelling, and that is what our history is. Did you say you're a history person? Are you history? Yeah. I like it's that's what we got as humans. It's just stories building on stories. That's how we get this technology. That's how we get, you know, like we're like, could we maybe, you know, the tricorder, like, wouldn't it be cool if we could have something, a communicator on us all the time? You know, like we dream of it and then it comes to, it's crazy. It's, and yet at the same time, it's like, we're just building all the time. So we got AI now, we got our own stuff talking back to us. And we're like a regurgitated, you know, an assemblage of stories coming together, a hodgepodge. And we're like, what is this? Is this art? So yeah, it's very interesting to think about. But at the end of the day, at the beginning of the day, it is storytelling, which if we can draw people in and have an experience where you're able to reflect off of it and find something for yourself in it, then, you know, mission accomplished. And whatever it could be, like you said, transcendental. And you're like, you know, Dune, finally, after all these years, has spoken to me. Or, yeah, Peppa the Pig, you know, some kid learns to share. And that's... you know, that becomes a beautiful life lesson. So, yeah.
Well, actually, that brings me to a good point. Is you talk about a lot of life lessons that you learn from art, from video games.
Oh yeah, I'm writing a book with my brother on right now.
That's right. Is the Dao of WoW? Is that
right? Yeah. Working title. Yeah. I don't know if Blizzard will let me use WoW. But we'll see. It could be like, it's just WoW. You didn't hear that from me, Blizzard.
I love the quote you gave recently in an interview that maybe sometimes some of the people who were your worst enemies could become your best friends and your best allies, as drawn from Chrono Trigger.
Oh yeah, I love Chrono Trigger, my all-time favorite game. But again, I think art finds you at certain times in your life. I wouldn't recommend it to either of you guys to play, only because it's from SNES, from Super Nintendo, which maybe, perhaps, you know, you guys also were affected by some Super Nintendo games, but I showed it to my nephews, Super Mario RPG, they're like, this looks old, Uncle Ricco. And I'm like, that's because it is. But also, you know, there's some beautiful lessons I gleaned from it at your age. But for them, it's, you know, there's art being made. This is why storytelling is so important, because it has to engage, it has to reach out to the people of the time. And sad to say, I'm getting a bit older. And so, like, you know, Chrono Trigger doesn't have the same kind of, although rest in peace Toriyama, Akira Toriyama did the art style from it. And I mean, like, I remember looking at the box art of that and I thought, I know this. I know what this is. I got so excited from the art, dude. And then Mitsuda, the orchestration. I was like, oh, what is this? The music drawing me in. And then the gameplay. Multiple endings. Your actions have consequences. The villain could be your buddy. I did not think of these things at 12. You know what I mean? I was raised in a military family. If someone's your enemy, you take them out. Like there's only one answer. And I'm like, oof. So yeah, learning forgiveness and learning other pathways was pretty beautiful.
Well, and I remember you talking about also turning barriers into doorways and obstacles into items that can catapult you, as taken from Parkour.
Yeah, man, that was a big learning moment. I mentioned that to my pal Brina Palencia, who actually was one of the reasons why I started doing voice acting in anime specifically. She was asking about parkour because, you know, I just turned the big 40. I'm like 40 years old in this parkour class with all the kids, or I say kids with love and respect, because there are young adults, you know, 15, 16, 17-year-old, mostly men, some women in there doing their thing. I'm by far the oldest guy in the room, but I love movement. And the first exercise we typically do at the beginning of the day is to run. They they give you one. This is actually a good life goal thing. They go, I want you to get to that point as gracefully as possible. Gracefully, by definition, least amount of effort. And parkour, as you probably think, doing side flips off of stuff, not exactly the most, there's extra, you're doing a little flashy stuff. However, to get to one place rather than running around things, when you see a wall, I've trained enough to where, you Kong vault over it. That's where you throw your hands up, your chest is leading, and you throw your legs through, and you create inertia, you create energy, and it launches you over and through, to which then you see a window that you can then, I know the techniques that allow me to not only see that as or not see that as a barrier, but as a pathway by which to make it to my goal, rather than, oh crap, that building is very tall, let me go find the stairs, or have to explore. You just start to see the world in a different way. Literally looking in this room, I can get to the T-bar in here. I can get up there. Zombie apocalypse. I don't know if I can save both of you, but I could save at least one. At least get up there and sorry, bro. I'm like
rock, paper, scissors.
Oh no, we just got to move fast enough. Anyway, but yeah, it's a beautiful thing to there's another quote that I have, and for one of my movement teachers in grad school, he said, the body doesn't lie. If you get hurt or there's a twitch, you're stressed out, your body will tell you what's up. Your body will let you know what's going on. And so, yeah, in the same way, it's invigorating when you start moving your body in a way where you stop seeing barriers and start seeing new pathways to travel. It's freedom, freedom, personified.
So, not to put you on the spot, but
Love it.
Could you give an example of something that you saw as a potential barrier, but you were able to utilize to sort of move you forward?
Let me think. Well, do you mean in life, or do you mean you reaching? Okay, so since we talked about actual physical things like walls that maybe hip height you could hop over with a vault, that's a very physical thing. A very typical one that I have a conversation with a lot of my students and a lot of friends, a lot of artists, and not just artists. My brother, he's an artist as well, but I think we're all artists, but in different ways. Trauma, anything that we've endured, and trauma is a hot word that can mean many things, right? But I'll say things that you might think you identify with yourself as something negative or something holding you back, or maybe a disadvantage. An easy one, I grew up pretty low income. I'm second generation. My family immigrated here. I was born here, but money was such a, do the most conservative thing and save as much as you can. Do not take any economical risks. Obviously, that's what you're going to do when you're a family coming to a country for the first time, right? You've got maybe this kind of feeling like you need to blend in. You want to celebrate your culture, but don't be too much, because you want to be American. You have to be American, whatever that is. You know what I mean? The funny thing is, you're there. Congratulations, you know what I mean? You're here. But that's the funny thing, is what do you identify as things that are either going to hold you back or lift you up? And coming from a place where I didn't have a lot of resources economically, my father, among I was raised by my dad. It's okay, well, what do you have? Let's take a look at these things. How can being poor be an effective thing for you, right? You would think probably not very effective typically, but if that's a barrier, I look at the world. I can operate on very little. I can sleep out of a car. It doesn't scare me. You know what I mean? I can eat. I've not even, it's fine, you guys. I went to undergrad. My friend, Veronica, who we went to school together, she's a doctor now. But I remember sleeping out of our respective cars and very nearly eating out of the garbage, pretty much for me, from catering, from shows that they threw away all these sandwiches. And I'm like, oh no, I'm not letting that go to waste, because it's very expensive to live in Southern California. So again, I don't say this as oh, woe is me. It's fine for me. I'm a survivor. I will survive. There is no, the song, I will survive. I will. I have no doubt that I will succeed, because I know how. I'm not afraid to be poor. I'm not afraid for anyone to try to hurt me. I know to defend myself. There's very little fear in me, because I know I can make it. When the chips are down. So that comes from having very little. And some of my I say entitled, I say that with love. People that have resources are more easy defeated. They'll go, gosh, I don't understand. I had these things. I'm like, it's fine. Roll on to the next thing. Let's go. But it's hard for them to identify with that mentality, because they have resources. And if you have something, should you not be able to succeed? It's a weird thing. It's a weird thing to have a little bit of something and you feel like, this is the thing. I'm like, no, you can go, in the gym, you're like, I'm tired. I'm like, no, you're not. You can definitely give me at least 120 more. It's going to take a second and you're going to have to breathe and you are going to be in pain, but you've got more. I can see it. Your body doesn't lie. I can see it in your body. You have more. Your brain's telling you can't.
Well, yeah. And you say that sounding a lot like a instructor or a teacher, and you spent some time in education.
Sure. I was also a personal trainer, by the way. You should do your push-ups. They're good for you. But yeah, yes, education. I taught undergraduate acting at SMU as a part of my assistantship. I taught at Richmond College as an adjunct, like a professor for a while. I teach at American Players Theater, just kind of a wandering sage. I'll pop in every so often, and whenever I'm available. It's a week long in the forest. By the way, most beautiful experience you can do for yourself is go to Spring Green, Wisconsin. Population maybe 1,400 now. Second largest outdoor theater in the States. It's theater in the woods, you guys. Like, you want to see some, I get chills thinking about it. Some of the finest acting I've seen in the world. And it's this small company of actors who were just out there. This is my one curse word, kicking ass. With PG podcast, PG interview. But yeah, they're great, man. They're really, really good. And it's a beautiful experience. Mosquitoes suck. But yeah, it's, I've taught little ones at Dallas Children's Theater all the way to folks far older than myself at community college. And yeah, I did not realize, I think being an educator was going to be so important to me. That in An Actor Prepares, they talk about the holy actor. It's someone who is like, you play the role of the shaman. Because I've been wounded in acting, we like to expose wounds so you can see yourself in the wound and hopefully for you have a better path. Because we've been hurt, we've all been hurt, and we always want to wish that for the next person maybe it's a little easier. Like being able to record sound with a cool lav instead of a old timey, now it's one of these on the phone. It sounds like, but we just keep getting better, whether or not it's hard to see, but I want to believe that we're always trying to better each other and ourselves. So.
Well, you probably had a lot of opportunities to develop characters from people you interacted with too, like just when you're building backstories for your characters. Say if there's not a lot of information, when you have to do like come in and do a read, and you're trying to get a feel for a character, do you pull in from some of these other like past experiences or people that you've seen?
Yeah. Sometimes it's difficult, I'll say, and this is a part of my study right now with immersive theater. Voice acting is very disadvantageous for an actor. People like to say improvisation is the most important thing, which it is, because they say, okay, hey, you're a 100-foot giant, you're murdering a town of people, but you also just lost like your titaness daughter, so you're enraged, but you also have a German accent. Let's go. You're like, oh, okay, cool, and you just go, right? And you might have a Japanese reference to help you, but again, Japanese, every country, right, every language handles their language different ways. Maybe they might approach you. The actor might be thinking a different idea. So, but you just launch into it because you're bravely supposed to just go, right? As an actor. If we were working on a play, you guys, we get to rehearse. We talk about it. We make choices that are so specific and refined that they reflect the work and the body, that we can like really give it some richness. Not to say that doesn't happen in the VO booth, but gosh, you guys, the actor is not at an advantageous position. So yes, to answer your question in a long way, drawing upon experiences, drawing upon whatever preparation you can do in that circumstance is so important. I'm trying to think of a good example. Oh, I worked on Romeo and Juliet out in the park. We were doing Shakespeare Dallas. I was playing Romeo of all things in my 30s. And my buddy Marcus Stimick was playing my Tybalt. And he had this beautiful Romeo, like, deep barrel tone chest, kind of like back of, the way he did it, he was like nasal. He's an opera singer, and as well, among other things. He's also director at Crunchyroll, lovely guy. And he goes, old friend. He's actually the first person I met when I flew to Dallas, which is wild. I was asking, like, why are you, like, with your voice, you're making this very, like, kind of histrionic sort of, well, Romeo, like, barrel-chested thing. He's a bigger guy, like, strength. With love, this is my friend, I was aping him a bit. Emulation, by the way, is the first step for any actor. That's what babies do. Babies copy each other. I was in the booth and they're like, hey, what do you got? I was doing an audition with Chris Bevins and he goes, Ricco, do you got something that's like your big man voice? And I was like, big man voice? I get cast as like young lad, all these different things. So what did I do? I thought of Marcus and I did this like basement barrel sort of like resonance that it's not, this is where it lives, but so much of it was full of its own ego and wanted to be there. And sure enough, I started booking tons of roles based on what I considered to be the seedling was my buddy, my friend Marcus, and his resonance and had the way he occupied space in a very braggadocious way. That character has seen that archetype, vocal archetype for me has found its way into so many things. But I would not have even ventured a guess if I didn't look at my friend and go, man, what an interesting way that sounds. How does that fit on me? Trying on someone else's clothes, be like, what is that? It's play. But yeah, so much to my chagrin, I was kind of like, I say with love, making fun of him. Where I was like, this is what Marcus sounds. This is what you sound like. And people are like, I love it. I'm like, oh, Marcus, you sound really good. Yeah, he's a lovely voice.
And yeah, I mean, you've been all over the place with your roles. I mean, even what you mentioned, doing some Microsoft work for.
Yes. Shout out to Honeycut Audio. We worked a ton together. I do cybersecurity videos, so I do a lot of things, commercial, cybersecurity, industrial stuff. If you walk into Chuck E. Cheese, you'll see me there telling your kids that we're about to dance in 30 minutes. I did that for my nephews so that they would, I could teach them the Chucky dance. Do the munch. Yeah. I don't know. I do. Yeah.
Well, that takes you back to like kind of some of your origins, because I love the story you told about your birthday party at Chuck E. Cheese where you got your first.
That's all good. It doesn't.
NES.
Oh, that was my SNES. Yeah, dude. Okay, so again, coming from a like not very well-off family, we took it to Chuck E. Cheese, which I know is a big expenditure. And we had a pizza party. I was like, oh, can we afford this? And sure enough, there are all these boxes of presents. I was like, wow. I was 7 years old. I couldn't believe I got all these presents. They showed up one to me. I opened it up. I was like, oh, it's Hot Wheels. And I'm like, it's cool. And they're like, all right, here's the other one. Open it up. It's Super Nintendo. And I think did it have Street Fighter? All I remember is like, I don't need anything else ever in life. I have Super Nintendo. I have Street Fighter 2. Goodbye, world. I'll see you in like whatever when I'm 18. But it was, yeah, that was probably one of those moments. It's making memories for people, really important. So that was one of the few times in my life where I definitely. I was raised by my father, but my mother had set that up, who I don't know too well. But she, was like, here's this thing. And I'm like, man, what a crescendo, beautiful moment that I have. And man, very load bearing, actually, if you think about it, since that Super Nintendo told many a story, let me tell you, specifically Chrono Trigger, among other things, which we had to rent at the time. You couldn't go on Steam. We didn't have Steam.
Well, speaking of which, if you had to leave the house and you could only take one thing with you, what would it be?
My cats. Take the animals, save their life.
You can only take one object with you.
Oh, sure. Okay. I wonder. Let me think. That's a good question. Oh, goodness. I have one little box. There's a box of just like keepsakes. I just take that. It's like old letters and stuff. I'm pretty sentimental guy. So yeah, we have a box of like letters and stuff.
I see you carry a guitar with you always. I feel like every video I see, you have a guitar strapped to your back.
I mean, I try to. You don't get better by not practicing. I'll tell you that much. And we do a lot of conventions, so if I'm sitting at a table a lot, I could feel my skills decaying. When people ask you, how long do you play guitar? I'm like, 20 years, but I'm not good. Like, the time doesn't equate to practice. You know what I mean? So,
is there anything that you rely upon in your life to keep you centered and grounded? Like, what do you draw your strength from?
So let's see, chips are down. There is I guess I kind of talked about it a little bit, or I alluded to it, because I think we've all been to places where we do not feel at our best, or actually just candidly, like rock bottom, whatever anyone's rock bottom in their life. It's different, subjective. Everyone has a different version of that. But for me, at my lowest, there's a resilience that I cultivate from, it actually is friends like that I reached out to that have more or less saved my life at different points at one or another. But even without that, if it really was something digging deep for me, a phrase that pops up often for my friends I know that struggle with anything, it's not for nothing. All the suffering, everything that you do, all the reps you put in, all the pain, all the heartbreak, all of it, it's not for nothing. It literally cannot be for nothing. because those things, if we just talked about the tribal aspect of being like a shaman, you succumb all these wounds, but you're still alive. You're a font of knowledge for people. And in this day and age, especially with social media, it probably isn't as important, right? Because our tribe is now what? The world, right? We feel more insignificant because unless you have 2.5 million followers, and even then you're not that popular. Like, what is a few million people following you mean? It might mean a deal for something, but what does it really mean? Who are the core people that matter to you? That experience seems to have less validity unless you have people that it's offered to or consumed by. And so I think it's really important to understand that all the things you're going through has value. You can decide to look at it as like scar tissue, or you can look at it as this is the thing that I'm going to build from. So yeah, it's good. Yeah, and it's easy to look at it like a scar because it is scar tissue. You're like, wow, that's a glaring wound in my emotional psyche or whatever. You're like, yeah, but it's not for nothing. Like, you're still here, you're still alive.
Well, and like you said, maybe it's to actually help somebody else.
Yeah, and that's one of the best things is like when you see someone else going through it, it's like you literally are looking in the mirror, and that's a great thing. Oftentimes it's not like that, but I wish that for everyone to know that, like, yeah, it's you've got stuff, and that stuff is worth something. So
Jojo's Bizarre Adventure.
Yeah,
we recently started watching. We have to talk about that. It's like I got to touch on that.
Well, you love JoJo's, and I just started it.
If you had a character in JoJo's, or were a character in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, what would you want your stand to be?
Oh, what would my stand to be?
Yeah.
Oh man, is it like the tarot thing? Or is it, oh gosh, that's too big of a question. That's like, what's your superpower? So I'm playing Fallout right now. So I'm gonna synergize it because Fallout, the show just came out. It's really good. Replaying Fallout 4. It's super fun. I like putting all my points into luck. Just for fun, because it's really hilarious. Like, bad guy rolls up to you, is like, I'm gonna kill you, and they slip on a banana peel and break their neck, and you're like, well, that's cool. It's like, it's interesting to think that the world is just like looking out for you. The world, like, that'd be a good stand. Time stopping, but I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna say like infinite luck, but like it doesn't, manifest necessarily like gambling or things like that. Just like things seem to work out. Flogging Molly is the name of the state, and it's a shamrock. And it's freaking luck. Or Dropkick Murphys. Drop-a-kick of Murphys. That'd be dope. And it's like freaking rad luck. Yeah, and the bagpipes play every time it happens. Anyways, yeah, that's what I choose. Love it. That's my stand.
So, last thing. Let's say something for anime diet is Mirio.
Okay, cool. Let me think. What's up? Damn it. Mark. Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Ricco Fajardo. I'm the English dub voice of Mirio Togeta, and I just wanted to say, anime diet. Do you have any apples in there? Aries hungry.
Thank you for watching Anime Diet. Be sure to smash that like and subscribe button for more tasty treats.